50. I get it.
Welcome to 24 Hours Finance. Hope y'all having a blessed day today. In today's short video, we'll be covering the most recent updates on GameStop and AMC and what this means for us apes. Please smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe. Getting right into it, we had quite a bit of news come out recently. Last week, we'd seen some crazy manipulation happen. As you can see from this Twitter post from Nazim, we're going to take a deeper look at this tweet to see what it has to say. So you can see here, it mentions that some entities sold close to $10 to $50 billion worth of puts in a matter of 30 minutes to prevent complete market catastrophe. As of now, that entity hasn't been verified. Most likely it's the DTCC or the Fed, and also the Fed balance sheet is almost close to $9 trillion, which is mind-blowing. So to sum things up in this tweet here, what was going on, if you're not understanding what's actually happening in this tweet, is in terms of the VIX, this one is different. This is VIXX. So the regular one that you usually look at is the regular VIX, which is just VIX. So this one is actually the volatility of volatility. I won't go too much depth into it, but to give you a rundown of what this actually means is essentially the VIX is something you look at when there's actually a lot of volatility going on. So when that means there's a lot of fear going in the markets, the volatility usually spikes upwards. So what was going on before January 26 was the volatility was already spiking upwards. And because it was spiking upwards, that volatility is usually bad for the markets because it runs inversely with the S&P usually. So they were scared of that, so what they had to do was actually sell their puts. And when you're selling put options, that means you're betting that the market's bullish, that it's going to go back up. So they obviously did this so that they could prop the markets back up and make it the trajectory go upwards essentially. And you can see here, he mentions more about it here. Their goal was to crush the VIX to prevent their short swap basket from blowing up on all stocks, including zombie stocks and over-the-counter stocks. This was January 21st. And notional options that rolled over were around $1 to $2 trillion. The hedging gamma demand by rolling may have been in the $30 to $100 billion range, which is definitely a very large range. He also mentions here, clearly normal market makers can't supply that much demand, given that daily options volumes are around $5 to $10 billion. So it looks like someone is really scared, and we're still trying to figure out who's the one who actually put all this liquidity into the market. You know, where did this money come from? Where does this $10 to $50 billion worth of puts come from? That's what we're trying to find out. We still think it's likely, like we said, the DTCC or the Fed, but how do we actually know it's them? So we're going to take a deeper look into that right now. So we do have this article here, it's labeled the Plunge Protection Team. And this is actually written way back then. This was actually brought to light by AMC Biggums, so big shout out to him. Go check him out if you haven't, and definitely watch his full video if you want the full coverage of how this plunge protection team actually works and some more info on it in terms of in-depth. I'll be giving you the shorter wrap-up version of what he's mentioned already in his video. So taking a look at it, you might be asking, what is the plunge protection team, obviously? So this group is known among Wall Street as a plunge protection team. The official role was to prevent another 1987 Black Monday. They have the entire US Treasury at their disposal to manipulate the markets through derivatives, future options essentially. In other words, they're using the assets behind the US Treasury to rig the prices of commodities, aka gold, currencies, etc., and stocks. Now you may be wondering, what does this team actually consist of? So it actually consists of the Fed Chairman, Secretary of the Treasury, and the heads of the SEC and the Commodity Futures Trading Association. And it also works closely with all the US exchanges and Wall Street banks, including the largest derivative risk holders, Citibank and JP Chase, which you're all really familiar with. And in terms of this executive order, a few people were aware of this, including myself. This was signed back during the Ronald Reagan era, essentially, which was back in 1988. We won't go too in depth into the history of that because it doesn't matter too much. But we will be looking at the specifics here in terms of why we know it's the Fed or the DTCC who actually sold these put options into the market. So let's take a look over here. So you can see here, In each of these occurrences, a large no-name buyer in the futures market secretly plunged in and bought up massive quantities of derivatives through bank groups such as JP Morgan. These were completely reckless gambling bets that futures index S&P would rise even though it was obvious that it was going to fail. Very similar to the situation we have here. And because such a large amount of money was waged on the S&P's rise in each instance, it reversed the market's free fall, which is definitely what happened as well, right? So it seems very fishy. And from what we can draw from this conclusion, we don't see anybody else, being that the Feds and the DTC, based off this description here. We also know that recently that there's been a bunch of rules that were put out by the SEC that's supposed to be implemented very shortly, in terms of providing more transparency to the market, but we definitely don't know when that's going to happen and if they're actually going to abide to it, because we know it seems like they just do whatever they want and we don't really have any control of it. So hopefully this transparency actually plays to our favor, and Gary Gensler actually does what he's supposed to do in terms of being the chairman of the SEC and protecting us investors. But we can really only go from here and see what they do in terms of execution to see how it goes. Moving along, there was also recent news that the US SEC approves new US exchange with blockchain feed and faster settlement. So this is the BSTX that you might have seen in the news already, which is a new exchange that actually incorporates blockchain technology. And essentially this is going to be through T0 and an exchange called Box Exchange from Boston-based exchange, essentially. So they're going to be joining together to create this new exchange, and Citadel is obviously going to be a part of it. They'll be owning around 7% of it, with other players in it as well. In terms of the details, you don't have much full details of how it's going to work, what's going to happen. We do see some people bringing up the structures of it, showing us the good and the bad of this exchange, of what it can actually do. But I feel like the most important part of this piece here that kind of draws my attention, where I'm a little bit wary, is when they start discussing the private blockchain. So you can see here, in addition to traditional pricing data feeds, BSTX plans to offer a market data feed that will operate on a private blockchain. That feed will allow exchange members to see their own activity as well as activity of other BSTX participants on an anonymized, delayed basis, the exchange filing said. So, we already know that the BSTX, it's moving in the right direction. We're getting blockchain onto the network. We definitely want everything to go blockchain because everything is transparent in the blockchain. But this stuff about the private blockchain, where that's not going to be transparent, that sounds like there's going to be some more manipulation going on. So we don't know how this is going to play out. We can only see where it goes from here. But, with T0 and the settlement dates being T plus 0, we're definitely moving in the right direction. But we still don't know if there's going to be any crazy manipulation going on with this new exchange, which is yet to be seen. Now, moving along to the last piece of news, a lot of you guys may actually follow Lou versus Wall Street, or whatever name he's actually changed his name to now. I believe it's Lou on Demand now, just because he's been saying that this AMC GME, it's already been done. He's saying that it's going to be a for sure win. We don't know how that's going to play out, but from what he's saying it's a done deal, and all we got to do is just sit tight and just watch for things to crumble and for the short squeeze to happen. So definitely hoping that's going to be the outcome. He also mentions his actual price brackets, saying that, in terms of selling, 1,000 to 5,000 is going to be the realistic price. And he's saying that his second bracket is from 5,000 to 10,000. That's as big as a bracket he thinks is going to go, and he feels it's not going to get any higher than that. Just due to being realistic and him knowing how the system works, he thinks that's how it's actually going to play out. I personally think the brackets could be a lot higher, just based off the mathematics, and just because, I like to expect the unexpected. The SEC and the Fed has never seen this ape movement before. They're not sure how it's going to play out psychologically. They don't know when people are going to sell. That's why they're putting out all this news right now, trying to see what price people are willing to sell at, or, psychologically trick people into selling at these lower price brackets, essentially. But, personally, I'm looking for at least 10,000 or more. I'm not going to throw any other numbers out there. I think you should personally find the number that's good for you, what you think is best for you in terms of where you want to sell at, and make sure you have your own price targets. Make sure you sell in bunches, you're not selling it all at once, so you still have some money to run on it in case it runs up higher than what you expected. So make sure to have all that in place before the MOASH actually starts, so you know your game plan ahead of time. And if you're looking to add to your position, now would be a great time to take a look into doing so. We've dropped quite a bit already in terms of the price action. You've seen today we're already starting to bounce up back a bit already. So if you feel like it's not going to drop any much further, now would be a great time to take another position or add to your current one already. So definitely take a look into that. And to wrap things up, my apes, the sentiment is still hella bullish in my opinion. Most of the news that came out recently is actually positive news for us apes, where some of that news is obviously in the gray area where we're not sure if they're gonna, stick to the stuff that they're saying they're gonna do, or it could go sideways. We don't know. We can only see what's gonna happen going forward. And regarding Main Street media news, that's obviously just noise. We've seen it all before already. They've been doing this for more than a year now, with all the FUD news and all the show bots out there that they're still paying. So it's hard to believe that this MOASH is going to happen if they're still putting all that money and putting out all this fake news just to get people to sell and to change the narrative. So that's definitely music to our ears still. Other than that, stay patient and stay hodling, my apes, as the MOASH is getting closer each day. More updates to come. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy this content, and peace out.
I get it.